Hello traders, Nick Shaheen here looking at Shopify. Friday the 6th, oh my gosh, dragged on forever. Incredible days. Anyway, so Shopify, pretty popular stock, reported earnings not too long ago, popped on it, gave it all back up, and then some, but probably not to the fault of its own because of, where we've been, right? So the good news is that it's holding its own. This is a momentum stock. I mean, it just runs every day. It reminds me of the old price line. So big moves are not out of the norm. But what is out of the norm is how quiet it's been. Okay, it's down 5%, but on a day where the VIX was 50 and running wild, and get this, the bonds were up 5%. I looked back. I've never seen a bigger day for bonds ever, like to close. I've seen a slightly bigger range one day in, was it 2011? I can't remember, way back then. So I could be wrong. I'm not a statistician, but I looked, I couldn't see a bigger day. So violent, and I would expect more violence in this stock. So to zoom in a little bit, I think, let me see, I go to 60-minute chart, so an hour chart. I was tracking this for friends, and I had drawn these red lines. And I said, I think this morning, before the action unfolded, so I said, these are the lines I see. I pointed out this candle. Let me go down to 30 minutes. No, I want to stay here. So I pointed out this candle right there, the doji that showed right there, as the limits. I said, anywhere above this candle, then something is going on. Anywhere below this candle, then something is going on. And I drew the red lines to trace those somethings. And sure enough, they started, and then at the end of the day on Friday, we had like magic hands come lift the markets out of the out of depth. I will not say more to that. And they went back above the line. So it's not a hard line in the sand, especially when the VIX is 50. Those who tell you that it's a hard line, it's hard. It's hard to pick a hard line. It's more of a zone. But in this case, hey, we're above the line, so let's stick with it. And where do I chase it up? For a trade. This is a point to watch, and this being 491, I'm going to call it. Now, this is a really successful company. They're growing business crazy. I can't remember the number. I think it was 50% growth year over year. It's big growth. So it's not cheap. It's mind-blowingly expensive from the traditional sense, but who wants cheap? Nobody thought Amazon was cheap. And I bet you they're biting their nails for not, instead of shorting it at wherever it was and under $100, that they should have bought it because it was expensive. Because it's a growth stock. Who looks at anybody smart looking at stocks? I learned this a long time ago. Would not look for cheap for a growth stock. I wouldn't judge Exxon or I don't know, some boring stock. Pick any boring stock. I can't think of any now. They're all running for one reason or another. Let's say Exxon. Let's stick with Exxon, or the old Microsoft. For the same way you would something that's just starting out and accelerating. A company that is growing 50% deserves a different measuring stick as to is it's worth buying or not. If you're looking for value, you're never going to buy a growth company. You're going to miss all the growth companies, which is fine. Some people say, I only invest in value. This is totally fine. In this case, I don't look for cheap. That's the point. Okay, so let me go to a daily candle. So a lot of lines. To me, they mean a lot. To you is just noise. So let's make them disappear. All right, so this is a daily chart. 1 year's worth of data right there for Shopify. Pretty confusing. I'm going to try to simplify it. I'm going to go to a weekly chart. Okay, so now we have information. So I'm going to say, can I simplify it more even? Okay, even better. Monthly chart. No noise. This is 1 month, 1 month. Every candle is 1 month. So this candle says that they opened about here for, 470. They rallied, look at that, to almost $600. They gave it all back up. And at some point in time, they sold it down to $420, almost $418. And then they said, what? I have no idea. I'm going to close it exactly where it came up, where it started, or thereabouts. This is indecision. It's not bad. It could be, but it's not bad. It's indecision. I love it. No, wait, I hate it. No, wait, you know what? I don't know, so I'm going to just close it exactly where it was. So this is an ongoing candle. This is March. This was February. This is March. So there's a lot to go. We're only 6 days into it, calendar days. So there's a lot to go there. But here's what I can tell you from this. 1 second, I'll bring a scratch pad. All right, let's bring that. If you have a Windows machine, that scratch pad is beautiful. All right, so this is important. And if I look left, this is exactly the same value right there. And this one, close. This is exactly. Anyway, so these three, I can draw a line through them. So if I'm looking for a pivot point, a bug out moment, a buy on the dip moment, this would be the one level I would look for on a monthly basis, somebody that's slower moving. Okay, so who's in control of the stock? Even though it was falling 5% today, whatever the hell it was, the buyers are in control over the long term. They're in control since whatever that date is, the early 20, since the Christmas crash. Why? Because higher lows. So as long as this trend holds up, they're buying the dips. That's the definition of them buying the dips. It's going to fall. If it falls to here, they're going to buy it. If it falls to here, they're going to buy it. When this changes, then I start looking at levels. Okay, so the trend is up. The buyers are in control. That's statement number one. Level-wise, this is a pivotal level. I know it's easy to say, oh, it's like 400. We'll go check it out to see if it is 400 or not. Wherever it is. 420. Thereabouts. 418 if you want a value. Okay, so that's first piece of information. This is a viable, well, not a viable. This could be a stop for somebody who's long and say, I don't want any pain below that because something is changing. This level here is important to me because this was the top here and the doji value here. So it means something to the market. So let's go find out where that level is. 470-ish. Okay, 465, 470-ish. Okay, so now we have information. No noise, just pure, helicopter view. What's the message? If I want a growth stock, it's $400 a share, but it's growing like mad. So Amazon, this is Amazon's monthly chart. So I'm sure here it looked like it was just ready to crash. Higher lows. You can't do this. I remember doing, hold on, let me put back drawings. Okay, so if I connected the dots in 2007, the top of the dots, it pointed at this. And they got to it, and I'm sure somebody said, this is the top. It's going to crash. Okay, so if I'm looking at a growth stock like these guys, I'm not going to worry about value. They're not cheap. They will never be cheap. When they start getting cheap, that's when Wall Street means that they change their mind about them from growth to something like looking at Microsoft, the older Microsoft, and say Google. Google would be better. Okay, so back to this one. It's not cheap, but it's growing. So it's a long-term hold. I should plug my nose and hope they continue executing. They're doing all the right things, so I should trust them. Management has earned my trust from that perspective. I'm not saying buy it. I'm just telling you my opinion of it. This is no recommendation to do anything. There are ways of going long, and this is where these levels come into play. So if I want to go long the stock, but I want to leave a lot of room, then I sell puts in them. But I never sell naked puts. I want to own the stock. Hold on, sneeze coming. Nope, foiled. No coronavirus, no sore throat, or no short of breath. So no coronavirus. Okay, so it all depends on how I want to attack it, how I want to own it, how I want to short it if somebody wants to short it, but I'd be nuts to short it. So the point is, the way to look at this stock is, first of all, don't judge it because it's expensive. Don't care. As long as they deliver 50% growth or whatever growth, I don't that strong. I don't really care about expensive. These guys look like they're going to crash at any point in time, and when they're falling, they look like they're going into an abyss. So I would, it's hard. It's easy to avoid them. So somebody that doesn't have good levels, they would never trade these stocks. But I know if it falls to here, it should find support, so I could nibble. And what do? If it's a trade, then I'll go long and I'll say if it falls below a level that seems to be like, why are you doing this? I'm out, and I establish that value and I get out. If it falls to this level, it's definitely a place to start. Look at this consolidation zone. Remember, these are months. So whoever fought over it here would definitely fight over it again. Why are my... This should be on. Okay, so it's important to know the levels. All right, back to a daily chart, and we reset it. This is 1 year's worth of data. So I can tell you that this zone right here is not only visually pivotal, like failed miserably at 412, failed miserably, and then broke out. And they tested it one time on a really bad test day for the whole market. I mean, this was a legit. If I were to draw one line, it would be right there. I don't know why I don't have that line there. What? Somebody's asleep at the wheel. Oh, there they are. Okay, so... But I would draw one line here because there is a doji candle right there. So $415 market. This candle from January 7th for some reason sticks out to me. So there's the value area. So from the volume profile, so now we're getting into weeds. Sorry about that. The volume profile is where most of the buying and selling happened, and this is the top of the area. So this is where most of the buying and selling happened. This right here is the actual value. So if markets crash, I bet you anything they will pile into the stock around 325, 315, because this is a heavy support zone. The whole area is a support, so this is the top of it here, so it's not a coincidence that's where they stopped. All right, that's enough in the weeds. There's plenty of ways to trade this. I will send out to the members the actual trade table that shows if I buy the stock, if I buy calls, call spreads, puts, put spreads, and all those ideas that fit my own trade setups. I'm on the conservative side. I'm not a gambler, so if you want any of that, description below, there's a link to it. Nick signing out.